Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandaya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantamanaprethyam Apretykrityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayotaravo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Ridimanatoshmi. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astautarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our most beloved, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astautarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams. So, Hare Krishna, everybody. So today we're continuing our Das Mula in the Jaiva Dharma. But we'll just chant the first 5 verses of Falshruti to invoke the supreme mercy of the author of this scripture, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Pritiviti ate kata dharmana mechale, Bhagavata kahesa paripurna nachale. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as Dharma are utterly deceptive. So as we said every time, this is a very bold statement, more or less saying that everything in material existence has 0 value, everything across the board. Whatever we think, university, education, all of these other high-blown, materially supported activities ultimately are 0 unless they have the one in front of them of Krishna. Unless they are glorifying Krishna, what is their value? They are only glorifying mundane, rational knowledge, which has no use to the soul's journey to Krishna in service. At the time of death, where will any of that count? All will count is the affection that is built in the heart towards serving Radha and Krishna. This is the only thing that will count, nothing else. So in that case, it renders all material dharmas completely useless. Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam shala. Abandon all these dharmas. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Chala dharma chadi kara satya dharma mati chatur swarga tyaji dam nitya prema gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the 4-fold goals of material life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem. So this is really even against many of the literatures that Vedavyas wrote prior to the Bhagavatam. He was writing mostly in Karma Kand and Gyan Kand, because that's all people had the adhikar really to listen to. They didn't have the adhikar to go further than that. But now, because of the mercy of Mahaprabhu, our adhikar, or our potential, has risen, because the descriptions of Rag Marg, the descriptions of Krishna in Vrindavan, have all blossomed and come to light because of Mahaprabhu. So it's because of Mahaprabhu that things have changed now, and it's not necessary to support these mundane dharmas. Actually, Mahaprabhu has given us the goal, the highest goal conceivable. And this was never before given in the whole day of Lord Brahma. It's an exceptional goal that we have at our fingertips. So for the devotees, we should try to take advantage of this. Amitva mimam sabrame nija jade buddhi nirvishesha brahma gyana hi chita sudhi. Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified by such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahm gyan. So he's speaking on these. These are the jungles of Mayavad that need to be actually cut to enter into the palace of bhakti, or even more, the palace of rasa. Because it's not just bhakti that Mahaprabhu is giving, he's giving bhakti ras. This wasn't there previously. Ibichitrata hina hale nirvishesh hoy, kale samutulya seha aprikrita noy. The Mayavad thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. We've discussed this so many times, because the Mayavad himself is not transcendental, that he can't conceive of Krishna's transcendence. He's blocked by his own limitations. He can't climb out of his own vision. Thus, he rejects Sri Bhagavan's Vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and lila. Yes, this achintya, these astonishing, everything about Krishna is astonishing. You know, we see like a child can appreciate this sometimes more than an adult. So we want to appreciate that. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesh Brahm, because there's nothing else except the Nirvishesh Brahm. That's all he has. If he's going for mukti and he hasn't captured the essence of Mahaprabhu's gifts, then he's going to sit in that Shantaras, that Brahmajyoti, that Nirvishesh Brahm place. That's where he's going to be sitting. He won't be able to go further than that. Kanda gyane hoya dharma ache sunishchaya prakritita hoila kabu aparakrita noya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as apricot dhan. So we are searchers for the ultimate truth, the reality of life. Nothing less. Absolutely, we settle for nothing less. So this book, in this Falshruti, is proclaiming this is what this scripture is going to give us. It's going to give us the supreme benefit conceivable for the conditioned soul today in the world. Nothing else is beyond this. So now we're back to our chapter 14. And yesterday we discussed Shakti Tattva. And the essence of Shakti Tattva is Shakti, Shakti Matayor. That the Shakti is coming from the Shakti Matayor, that personality of Krishna. And that principal Shakti is Swarup Shakti. And from Swarup Shakti are coming the three Shaktis of Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti. So these three Shaktis are coming from Swarup Shakti. And then there are three functions within the Swarup Shakti. And that's the Sat or Sandini, and the Chit or Sangvit, and the Hladini or the Anand. So these four descriptions are, you have to close the door after, these three words, they have their synonyms, which are like the same, like the Sandini and the Chit, or Sandini, sorry, and the Sat. and the Sangvit and the Chit, and the Hladini and the Anand. They're interchangeable. So we went through this very beautifully yesterday, and many significant deep points, but this was the tattva. So let's just for a moment refresh our Dasmula verse, just to put us in context here.
282.
So Amnaya Praha, we've discussed that. What is the evidence? What is the praman? And then Tattva Harim Iha Paramam. This is what we discussed in the 13th chapter, especially with Krishna's qualities. And now yesterday we've discussed this Sarva Shaktim, the all pervasive Shaktis manifesting from the Lord. So now today we're going to be discussing Rasabdim. So we're going to have finished 3 pramayas by today. So we're going quite quickly, and I hope you're all managing to grasp the purport of these different truths, these different pramayas. So now today we're going to do the Dasmula 4 on page 314. So we'll just chant this verse now.
Savai ladyanascha pranaya vikritirladan ratas tatha samvik chakri prakatita raho bhava rasitah tatha shri sandhinya krit vishat tadham nichaye rasambodho magno vraj rasavilasi vidyate. Dashamula 4.
So now we're transitioning from the Shakti Tattva to the Rasa Tattva. There are 3 functions of Swarup Shakti: Hladini, Sandhini, and Sangvit. Krishna manifests perpetually. Krishna remains perpetually immersed in the pranaya vikar. Pranaya means loving pastimes, and vikar means transformations of loving pastimes. He remains always in his loving pastimes, pranaya vikar. That's where Krishna always remains. Of the Hladini Shakti, of the blissful Shakti, because of the confidential bhavs evoked by Sangvit Shakti. He is ever situated as Rasik Shekhar, in relishing newer and newer ras. That supremely independent pastime prince, Sri Krishna, is ever drowned within the ocean of Braja Ras, in his transcendental bliss-filled abodes, headed by Vrindavan, which are manifest through Sandhini Shakti. All glories to him. So now this is a whole description of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is the place where the sadhak wants to put his consciousness. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtano smitya kramana rasana masidyoja tishtem braje anuragi janugami. Rupa Goswami, he's saying this very clearly, that we want to immerse ourselves in the residence of Vrindavan and follow one of those residents of Vrindavan. The purport is that the 3 aspects of Swarup Shakti, namely Hladini, Sandhini, and Sangvit, completely influence all the activities of the Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti. So if you have that diagram that we showed you yesterday, and if you have it with you, you can look at it and relate it to what this is saying. These 3 Shaktis, Chit, Jiva, and Maya Shakti, that are being influenced by the Hladini, Sandhini, and Sangvit Shaktis. The Hladini Vritti of Swarup Shakti, as Sri Radhika, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, gives full transcendental bliss and enjoyment to Krishna. So Sri Radhika is that personality who possesses such an abundance of attraction and affection for Krishna. No one else has that same amount of attraction to Krishna. This is why Krishna reciprocates with Sri Radhika. She has the most anand towards Krishna, the most bliss. to offer Krishna, full of transcendental bliss and enjoyment to Krishna. Srimati Radhika is the embodiment of Mahabhav. She gives happiness to Krishna. Srimati Radhika's embodiment of Mahabhav is higher than Krishna's Mahabhav. Krishna also comes to the stage of Mahabhav, but he doesn't come to the higher stages of Mahabhav, Rudha and Adi-Rudha. So that is why Krishna comes as Mahaprabhu, so that he can taste these higher stages that Radhika tastes. Because she is tasting the sweetness of him, and she is tasting principally the sweetness of his love for her. She gives happiness to Krishna in her own transcendental form, and she also eternally manifests 8 bhavs as the 8 principal sakis, who are direct extensions, kaya vyuha, of her own swarup. And these 8 sakis that she manifests, her kaya vyuha, they also manifest 8 sakis, each one. So that in the end, there are actually billions of sakis, but all coming from the source of Sri Radhika. Sri Radhika is the source of the kaya vyuha, in order to bring pleasure to Krishna. This is the principle. She feels restricted just by one body, because Krishna has so many potential bhavs that he can taste. So just being in the one body, she can only facilitate a certain limit, not limited, but amount of bhavs to the highest degree. But all of her sakis, they will support and nourish all of Krishna's potential bhavs that he has as options. My Gurudev has described it like Krishna is like a music shop owner, and he has billions of musical instruments, but he can't really play any of them. But Radhika, she can play them all. And she has friends who can play them all as well. So all of the different instruments get played regularly. So if it was just one personality, some of the barbs would remain quiet, so to speak. But because she manifests so many other sakis, then they all enhance Krishna's taste for rasa. And especially in the last 14 chapters, it's going to be discussing all these different types of gopis and their different relationships and so on, and the gradations of their relationships, which is utterly fascinating. This is all actually described in the Ujjvala Nilmani by Rupa Goswami, because it's Rupa Goswami who is giving us all these teachings. Again, this is confirmation. This is the condensed teachings of Mahaprabhu. She also eternally manifests 8 bhavs as the 8 principal sakis, who are direct extensions, kaya vyuha, of her own swarup. Besides that, she manifests her 4 different types of service moods as the 4 different types of sakis, namely priya sakis, narma sakis, pran sakis, and parama preshta sakis. In some places, it's described 5 types of sakis. The sakis, the nitya sakis, the pran sakis, the priya sakis, and the priyanam sakis. Many places described like that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing like this as 4. But in other places it's described as 5. Because the pran sakis, they're not, they are described as tad bhav ichamai. They're not sakis who are going to enjoy with Krishna. They're maidservants of Sri Radhika. There's 2 types of sakis that are maidservants, the pran sakis and the nitya sakis. They are maidservants of Radhika, and their particular bhav is described as tad bhav, ichamai, whereas the other gopi sakis, they're described as sambhog, because they have the propensity to enjoy directly with Krishna. So there's 2 types. that we have to become familiar with these terminologies. All these sakis are nitya siddha sakis within the transcendental realm of Braj. They are not ordinary conditioned souls, any of them. They're all transcendental personalities. None of these personalities are ordinary. So when we're aspiring for that place of service to Radhika, like the transcendental personalities, we have to appreciate there's a process to actually attain that place. We have to take another birth. We have to take a birth from a gopi's womb, and then we have to associate with these nitya sakis in order to actually achieve that highest potential within the soul. So these are all topics about rasa tattva that are going to be opened out in this chapter. I'm just saying a few other things. The Sangvid vritti of Swarup Shakti. The Sangvid, what's the Sangvid? That's the knowledge. The chit. The Sangvid vritti of Swarup Shakti manifests all the various moods of the relationship, Sambandha bhavs within Braj. So the Chit Shakti is described as the knowledge of relationships. That's how the Chit Shakti acts in Braj. The Sandhini potency acts as all the objects, all the personalities, all the bodies, all the aspects of existence in Braj. That's the Sat, Sandhini Shakti. The Chit manifests all knowledge of relationships between all these personalities. And the Hladini acts as the bliss achieved through these relationships in Braj. So three principal energies working, or they're called functions, that Sangvid or Sandhini, then Sangvid, and then Hladini. So try to get that picture clear, how they're all essential to the entire makeup of the Braj pastimes. They won't manifest without these three. And these three are all manifesting from Swarup Shakti, from Sri Radhika, in her absolute extreme affection for Krishna. This is all happening. Sandhini manifests everything in Braj that consists of water, earth, and so on, such as the villages, forests, gardens, and Giri Govardhan, which are places of Krishna's pastime. So understand. Do you understand fully? The Chit Shakti is manifesting the forms of the relationships in knowledge. Sandhini is manifesting the bodies, all those animate objects like Giriraj, etc. And the Hladini is the bliss that is experienced by the bodies, and the knowledge combined together creates the bliss. Okay? You have to see it like this, otherwise they're just words on a page. And it won't be a reality. But it takes years to actually meditate on this in this way. You can hear it once, twice, three times, but when we hear it for years and years, then it becomes more tangible, more accessible, and more an absolute reality. Gardens and Giri Govardhan, which are places of Krishna's pastimes. It also manifests all the other transcendental objects used in Krishna's pastimes, as well as the transcendental bodies of Sri Radhika and Sri Krishna, the Sakis, Sakas, cows, dasis, and dasas, and so on. So all of the bodies, including Radha and Krishna, they are made of this existence. They have existence, right? Yes. If Krishna has existence, then the existence potency is acting there. Yes. That's the Sandhini Shakti. If Radhika has existence, then that existence potency is acting. It's not, they're not manifesting without. If they manifest, they have to have existence. Anything that has existence consists of the Sandhini Shakti. That's the potency of existence. And anything that has knowledge has to be infused with the Chit Shakti. or the Sangvit Shakti. And any of the bliss that they experience from that is a result of the Hladini Shakti or the Anand Shakti. So this is the principle, almost like personalities, these three energies. We get a picture of who they are and how they're going to be influencing everything, how they do influence everything, how nothing can really act without these three potencies. This is Rasa Tattva. We're very, very tiny little bit beginning of Rasa Tattva. This is the very first little tiny scratch towards Rasa Tattva, is appreciating this point. Sri Krishna is always engrossed in supreme bliss in the form of his pranaya vikar of Hladini. Pranaya vikar, again, I say, pranaya means loving pastimes, and vikar means transformations within those loving pastimes. What transformations? Transformations of different bhavs, the different bhavs that manifest. A bhav is something that goes beyond the superficial, or not material, but it touches deep into the heart, especially when it comes to the sattvika bhavs. That goes beyond even the body practically. It touches the very core of existence. So it's these sattvika bhavs manifest regularly between the divine couple, demonstrating the depth of the affection between them. There's 8 sattvika bhavs that are influenced. This earth, water, fire, air, and ether. This is the 5 elements that we're made up of. So when, for example, the bhav is striking the earth aspect, it's called stamba, which means the body becomes stunned. That's the nature of the sattvika bhavs. But we'll wait until we come to the sattvika topics, which will come in a minute. Sri Krishna is always engrossed in supreme bliss in the form of pranaya vikar of Hladini, and being endowed with the various bhavs manifested by the Sangvit vritti. So the bhavs begin in the mental quantum, in the Sangvit quantum, and then they plunge into the heart, where they're influenced by the Hladini Shakti. And that Hladini Shakti will stir the inner depths of emotional exchanges. But it begins in the thinking consciousness, in the cognitive consciousness, and then it comes into the heart. And this is the same way with Guru's mercy. It comes in the mind first, and then it's going to come into the heart and mix with the Hladini element of Anand, of bliss. But everything that we're talking about and will be talking about in the nature of Ras hasn't really got anything to do with us as Jivas. If we keep thinking, well, how is this relevant to me? It's not really relevant to you. It's relevant to the relationship between Radha and Krishna. That's the place we want to place our consciousnesses. That's where the bliss is going to be derived from. How much can we serve this divine couple and their pastimes? Not how much bliss will I get if I'm constantly thinking of that, like in this material world, we're always on this upward mobility sort of like ladder. We always think we're achieving something, but this is not on that level. It's not a question of achieving, it's a question of appreciating. We're not trying to achieve anything here. We're trying to deepen our appreciation for the Amala Prem Seva towards Radha and Krishna. That's all. Because otherwise it'll be a great stumbling block. If I'm trying to apply everything in my own life, I won't actually begin to catch what is the principal focus, the topic. Topic is the service, always the service to Radha and Krishna. Shri Krishna is always engrossed in supreme bliss in the form of the pranaya vikar of Hladini, and being endowed with the various bhavs manifested by the Sangvit vritti. He relishes pranaya ras. Through the Sangvit vritti of his Parashakti, Krishna performs activities such as attracting the gopis by playing upon his vamsi, taking the cows out for grazing, gocharan, rasa lila, and other pastimes. Understand, the gopis, for example, are Krishna's eternal servitors. They're the greatest lovers of Krishna, and they have manifested in this world with Krishna to show us the degree and extent of their attraction for Krishna, for us to emulate, not to imitate, but to emulate. Emulate means to follow. We are following in the footsteps, in the wake of the gopis' love for Krishna. This is what the devotees are striving for, to follow the nature of the gopis. So yes, all of these pastimes is what Krishna is performing when he's attracting the gopis and playing on his vamsi. This playing on the vamsi is very wonderful to consider. The sound element, or the subtle element of sound, exists in every single object of the material creation also. We start from sound, and then we go to ether. And then from ether, we come to touch, and then air, and then form, and then water, and then taste. And then from taste, it comes, oh, I missed out fire. Form is fire, the subtle element of fire is form. And then from fire, it comes to water. And the subtle element of water is taste. Then the subtle element of earth, which is the next gross element, the fifth element, is fragrance. So these 10 gross or 10 elements, the 5 gross and 5 subtle, have their beginning, their origin in sound. Sound is the final element, the most subtle element. This is why the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra is the most powerful on the consciousness. Everything is starting from sound. If we remember in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Yudhisthira Maharaj is winding up his existence and he's going through all the different elements, I think it's chapter 17 of the first canto, he's going through all the different elements, and he amalgamates and merges one element into the next element, and gradually more and more and more subtle, and reaches sound vibration. Sound vibration is the most subtle element. So this sound is manifesting ultimately from Krishna's flute song. So this appreciation of Krishna's flute song within Vrindavan, and how it stirs the hearts of all creatures in Vrindavan. The birds sit on the branches, become stunned like munis. The cows, they cup their ears to hear that sound. The calves, they stop drinking their mother's milk. The cows just have grass hanging in their mouths. They can't move. The peacocks think this sound vibration is the herald of a storm coming, or the rain's coming, so they begin to dance very beautifully. The rivers become so stunned by the sound vibration that they actually either flow backwards or they just become stationary. Their nature is to move, but they become stationary with the sound vibration of the flute. So these are all aspects and qualities of sound. Stone, it melts with sound. When Krishna plays his flute, the stones can melt. So this is beyond material rationale. It's achintya. But we should appreciate the nature of this sound, subtle element. It's the first subtle element. And everything in existence, the trees, even bricks, stones, the earth, everything has the sound element within it. Because as the elements come down, it's like earth, for example, has all the elements of water, fire, air, and ether are within the earth. They're all within the earth. They're packed within, and that includes the subtle elements also. So therefore, everything in existence has a part of this subtle element, sound, within it. So sound is very, Shabda Brahman, ultimately, is the sound vibration that we hear coming from Guru, which can actually enter the heart of the Shishya at the conducive time. And that Shabda Brahman will elevate the consciousness simply by the sound vibration. We see just in mundane life how effective music is. When music starts playing, all of a sudden it has a particular mood and bhav, we can say, that comes with it. And immediately your mind becomes distracted from wherever you are, hearing this particular sound or that particular sound. So sound is an incredibly extraordinary topic, and we appreciate where it has its origin is in Krishna's flute. This Sankirtan, where does it come from? What's it? Golokera Premadana, Harinama Sankirtan. It's come from that Goloka through the sound vibration ultimately. When Lord Brahma is sitting on the lotus, it's the sound vibration of Krishna's flute that actually inspires the Kam Bij mantra, this Kam Bij Gayatri, to manifest in Lord Brahma's heart. First of all, he hears the sound of Divya Saraswati, Tapa, this, and then he starts performing those austerities. And then he hears Krishna's flute song, which is the Kam Bij mantra. These mantras, we say, are very, very potent. They go into the subconscious of the mind. There's 4 stages of listening, of possibility to listen, and going into deeper and deeper states of subconscious. But it's the flute song that has that's the origin of all of this. So we can imagine what happens when Krishna plays on his Vamsi, how it affects all the people in Braj, all the Brijvasis, in all different ways. Like when he calls all the cows to him, he says their name in each syllable or each note of his flute song. He's calling out Yamune, Gange, Prashungi. He's calling out the different names of the cows to come. They hear their names called. When he's calling the gopis for the Rasa Lila, they hear their name is called by the flute song. The flute song doesn't, when Krishna's calling the gopis for Rasa Lila, anyone other than a gopi can't hear it. It's on such a pitch, such a level that they can't hear it. Only the gopis with their qualification have the ability to hear that frequency of sound. Even we can see this in mundane examples. I've seen experiments where they want to make a sound vibration to keep dogs away. And dogs will hear a certain frequency that no one else will hear. So if they make that frequency electronically, it'll keep all the dogs away. I've seen a documentary describing this. When you just want to keep, or even with mosquitoes, you can vibrate a certain frequency and it can chase all the mosquitoes away. And frequencies can heal the body. Various frequencies have the ability to heal the body. So sound is a very significant element. It's the first element. So when Krishna plays his Vamsi, it's just not an ordinary sound at all. So playing upon his Vamsi. But this is saying here that when Krishna is playing upon his Vamsi, he's experiencing complete pranaya vikar, the greatest pleasure. It's Krishna's pleasure that we're talking about here. Taking the cows out for grazing, gocharan, and rasalila, and other pastimes, Sri Krishna, who is Brajabilas, the enjoyer of pastimes in Braj, always remains immersed in rasa, in his transcendental dharma, which is manifested by the Sandini potency. We've just said that, described at length. The Sandini Shakti is existence. Amongst all the abodes of his pastime, the abode of Braj pastimes is the sweetest. So this is Krishna's home, is Vrindavan Dham. And this is why I said that verse before from Rupa Goswami. To reside in Vrindavan and to follow the residence of Vrindavan is Kalam Nayam Akilam Upadesharam. This is the highest instruction, this Tannama Rupa Charitati from Upadeshamrita. It's the highest of all instructions to remain in Braj. If one wants Shuddha Bhakti, if one wants that prem, then one must desire to reside in these holy names. And my Gurudev said, just by the desire to be there, the feet will automatically follow. If the heart wants to be in Vrindavan, then the feet will follow and be in Vrindavan. If you don't really want to be in Vrindavan, then the feet won't go. That's the way it is. And Vrindavan and Navadvip are non-different. Rajanath, you have just explained that Sandini, Sangvit, and Hardini are all manifestations of Swarup Shakti. Understand, Swarup Shakti is that first, Krishna is, he's always with his parikars, he's always with his entourage, but nevertheless, there's a description that Swarup Shakti manifested from his left-hand side. That Swarup, his own form, his own energy, took the form of the divine daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. And as soon as Radharani manifested, she saw Krishna and ran to him. This is the nature between Radha and Krishna. This is their eternal nature. So the sadhaks always want to meditate in this realm. And this rasa description is giving us some bearings, is giving us some tattva, just because we haven't reached the rasa tattva section. We're just on the peripheral here, but it's showing us the boundaries of tattva, tattva vichar. You have explained that Sandini, Sangvit, and Hladini are all manifestations of Swarup Shakti. You have also said that Jiva Shakti is an atomic part of Swarup Shakti, and that Maya Shakti is the reflection of Swarup Shakti. Maya Shakti is the reflection, like Pratibimba. It's a reflection. It's not like Yogamaya. Yogamaya is not a reflection. Yogamaya is directly Srimati Radhika herself to enhance the pastimes, to arrange the inconceivable pastimes that manifest, is Yogamaya. Yogamaya in Braj is Purnamasi Devi. And we always remember the pastime when Jyotila, she discovered Krishna's flute in her courtyard, ran to Purnamasi. Look, I found the evidence, Krishna's flute. And Purnamasi said, what are you talking about? It was raining flutes last night. And she looks around everywhere, she sees flutes. Oh my God, so only Yogamaya can arrange like this. This is what Yogamaya does, arranges for the inconceivable. Can you imagine raining flutes? I mean, this is as inconceivable as you can get. So Yogamaya can do that. So she is not a reflection. She is a part of Radharani. But the Mayic, because it's an illusion, we haven't really come to Maya Tattva yet, but we will. We've discussed a lot of Maya Tattva previously. This illusionary, deluding potency that makes the jiva consider that the body is him. And because he is by nature an enjoyer, then he has to enjoy the body. Because Ananda Vyasat, the jiva, is an enjoyer by nature, just like Krishna is an enjoyer, Bhaktrita, Bhaktritva. Krishna is an enjoyer and we are enjoyers also. We have the same quality, but we are tiny and Krishna is oceanic. So, this appreciation of Maya, she's like, there's nothing real in Maya. We are the ones who come attracted to the illusion. We are the ones trying to indulge in the illusory energy. That Maya Devi is manifesting this reflection, and we are running into that reflection, just like a man in a desert. He'll run towards the apparent hallucination of an oasis, the mirage. In a desert, he'll run towards it, thinking, oh yes, I can enjoy that. But then he gets there, there's nothing there. Exactly the same in this world. We think I can enjoy money, I can enjoy home, I can enjoy so many different things in this world. But when it actually gets involved in there, there's no pleasure. If it's not connecting with Krishna, it's just not there at all. Now kindly explain how the Sandini, Sangvit, and Hladini tendencies act upon the jivas and on Maya. So he's already said about the spiritual realm, the Chit Shakti. Now he's going to speak about the Jiva and Maya. Jiva Shakti is the atomic potency of Swarup Shakti. Atomic means very, very small. Means very small. And all Jiva Shakti is the atomic potency of Swarup Shakti, And all three aspects of Swarup Shakti are present in it to a minute degree. So that means the Sandini, that's the Jiva's existence, the Sangvit, that means his knowledge, and the Hladini, which means the bliss that the Jiva is experiencing. So all of these three are there. Thus, the Hladini Vritti is always present in the Jiva in the form of Brahm Anand. If you look on that diagram that I told you yesterday, you'll see where Brahm Anand is situated. There is bliss all the way down, the bliss of Brahm. And then it's going to go to the bliss of Jad Anand, dull material energy. But the bliss of Brahmand is there initially. Spiritual bliss. Sangvid Vritti is present in the form of Brahmagyan, knowledge of Brahm. Transcendental knowledge. And Sandini Vritti is present in the Jiva's atomic form. I will explain the subject matter more clearly when we discuss Jiva Tattva. So Jiva Tattva will come in the next subsequent 3 chapters. In Maya Shakti, the Hladini Vritti is manifest in the form of mundane pleasure, Jad Anand. That's what he just said. Jad means dull. So the dull pleasure of this world. Still, it's some sort of imagined reflective bliss. So it's given the title Anand, but it's dull. Sangvit Vritti is manifest in the form of material knowledge, Bautik Gyan. Bautik means knowledge of material objects, like the scientists, etc. They're very proud of their Bautik Gyan, or empiric knowledge, we say. And the Sandini Shakti is manifest in the form of the entire material universe. Yes, everything we see is a manifestation, it's existence, potency. So it's there. So try to get the picture. This is what this chapter is about trying to understand the tattvic aspect, not the lila so much. I'm putting the lila there just to try and give some resonance to understanding the tattva, but it's the tattva that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to establish. So this tattva that everything has existence, and it consists of the Sandini Shakti. And who is the Ishtadeva of Sandini Shakti? Baladev Prabhu. So Baladev Prabhu is Akhanda Guru Mula Tattva. So that Guru is the one who is bringing this material existence in the form of Guru Tattva to explain to the sadhak his eternal relationship with Krishna. So it's Guru. Guru is manifesting the bodies, Baladev, and Guru is also manifesting the understanding of how to become relinquished of this bodily misidentification. Guru is giving everything. Baladev is giving the body, and he's giving Guru also to purify that. Understand? Something. We're not looking to understand, actually. We're looking to appreciate. Don't try and use your intelligence. If you try to use your intelligence, you're going to get bewildered. If you just try to use your heart, that means in the heart there's a desire, at least a desire, sincere desire for consummation of bhajan, for coming to that place of full Amala Prem Seva to Radha and Krishna. If that's my desire, then I don't need so much intelligence. I don't need much rational working of the mind to understand it. Something just to keep the parameters there, keep the guidance there. But the principle is the heart. Bautigyan, and the Sandini Shakti is manifesting in form of the entire material universe, which consists of the 14 planetary systems and the material bodies of the jivas. We are made of Sandini Shakti because we have existence. So don't be ever confused about the meaning of Sandini. It means existence, potency. We've gone thoroughly through this. Prajanath, why is Shakti called inconceivable if all its activities can be understood like this? But I'm just saying, don't try to understand them. We can hear the names and remember the names. That's where we're applying our intelligence. but to actually have a realization of these truths is beyond intelligence because they're completely inconceivable. And without this achintya bhav, without this inconceivable mood in the consciousness, I can't give acceptance to Krishna's reality because I'm always trying to put my own material rationale over it. We discussed this yesterday, like the frog in the well. The frog is always trying to, is the ocean 4 times as big as my well, 10 times as big as my, everything is compared to his conditioned self and consciousness. But transcendence is not to be compared with the material condition. It's beyond, way beyond. We have to have fortitude, courage to actually separate ourselves from that conditioned place. Babaji, these topics can be understood in isolation from each other, but their relationships are inconceivable. Interesting. You can take out one single topic and understand it rationally to a degree, but how they all act and harmonize between each other is inconceivable. They're all, the Sandhini, Samvit, Hladini, they're all linked to manifest this entire creation of feelings, of emotions, of affection ultimately towards Krishna, if the sadhak becomes purified sufficiently. These topics can be understood in isolation from each other, but their relationships are inconceivable. In the material world, because opposite qualities have the inherent tendency to annihilate each other, principles that are mutually opposed cannot be present together in the same place. Like, how can you run and stand still at the same time? You can't. So Krishna can, because Krishna is not like us. He's not like the frog in the well. He's separate. However, Sri Krishna's Shakti has such inconceivable power that in the spiritual world, it manifests all the mutually opposing qualities together at the same time, and in a very wonderful and beautiful manner. Even though Sri Krishna has the most beautiful form, Rup, he is formless, Arup. He has a transcendental Murti, form, but he is present everywhere. This is why Brajnath got confused before. He said, if Krishna is medium-sized, how can he be all-pervasive? He was trying to put him, we were discussing the, when the Mullah came in connection with the deity form, worshipping there, saying the same thing. Actually, there's a very beautiful verse. I think I have this here. Kamani anihasya bhavo bhavasyate durgashraya haritaya palayanam kalatmano yat pramod yuteshram swatman rate kidrita dira vidam iho. This karmani, Krishna works and he doesn't work. Bhavo anihasya bhavo bhavasyate. He's born and he's unborn. Durgashraya hari bayat pralayanam. He's fear personified, and yet he runs and takes shelter of a fortress in the ocean, making him look as if he's afraid of his enemies. He does both simultaneously. Kalatmano yat pramod yuteshram. He's the most renounced, and yet he lives with 16,108 queens. And he is most renounced, and he does live with all these queens at the same time. So this is totally contradictory. And it's saying, the last part of this verse is saying that sadhus, saints, they're bewildered by this. It's Uddhava who's quoting this verse. Uddhava quotes this verse in the 3rd canto. This is the 16th verse of the 3rd canto. I think it's 17th chapter. And Uddhava is speaking this verse to Vidura. He is formless, Arup. He has a transcendental Murti form, but he is present everywhere. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to wake up this achintya conception. I don't know what is the truth. I don't know. Trying to accept, yes, I don't know what that is. I'm astonished by Krishna's pastimes and forms. If I'm thinking all the time, yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know, I won't get anywhere. This quality of humility deeply must be there with the sadhak, especially as he comes to know more and more and more. Then it's as if you become to know less and less. The more you know that you don't know. This is exactly how it works. The more fluent you are in the topics of tattva, the more realizing you are, you don't know anything. If this achintya bhav, this chamatkar, has risen in the heart, it must rise. Because if it doesn't rise, what will manifest instead? Pride. And bang, the heavy wall will manifest in the consciousness where you can't get over that. Especially if you're older and pride has come. Anyway, with age, often pride comes. But age has its special formula to purify that pride. Because when the body starts to break down and you can't function the way that you used to function, then you start to realize that you're not as great as you thought you were physically. And then that can also go into the mental place as well. Maybe your memory isn't quite as astute as it was previously. So these are all merciful gifts by the Lord in old age to actually bring us to a humble condition. I don't know what is the truth. All I know is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is totally beautiful, and Srimati Radhika loves him more than anyone else. If I know this, this is the beginning. He is always active, and yet being unaffected, he performs no karma. That's like the verse that I just described, karmani anihasya. He works, but he doesn't work. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj, although he is unborn. I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting this verse, the same verse that I just said. He's unborn. He is simply a cowherd boy, although he is worshipped by all others. We talked a little bit the other day about the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Yes. He's just a little cowherd boy, but Lord Brahma is seeing him as that supreme mystic in existence. He's defeated even his mystical potencies. Lord Brahma is the most mystical potency beside Lord Shiva, and he defeated Lord Brahma. And he has a human-like form and bhav, although he is omniscient. These are deep topics to appreciate, this achintya mood. Try to really go down on this achintya bhav, this chamatkar, achintya, inconceivable. Krishna is inconceivable. Similarly, at one and the same time, he possesses all qualities, savishesh, and yet he has no qualities, nirvishesh. He is achintya, inconceivable, and full of rasa, and he is both limited and limitless. He is very far away and very close by. He is unaffected, niravika, nivikara, and yet he is afraid of the man, sulky mood, or apparent anger of the gopis. How can we enumerate the infinite variety of Sri Krishna's qualities such as these? They contradict each other, and yet they are eternally and beautifully present without opposition or conflict in his swarup. So magnificent, so beautiful to appreciate. His abode and in the various paraphernalia related to him. This is the inconceivable nature of his Shakti. So I think I'm going to stop here. But if you have any question or any questions have come, I would really appreciate it if questions do come. It's very, it's not so nourishing for me as a speaker speaking to a camera, because I don't know who's behind the camera. And so few people are connecting with me who might be watching these videos. So I have no idea of the degree of your comprehension. It would really help me to explain these topics more or less if there was more communication between this little black box that I'm looking at. that represents perhaps hundreds of people. I'm never sure what I'm saying is resonating. So this is the deficiency of doing what we call streaming, Zoom classes, etc. Zoom is different because I can look at all the different people. But on this phone, I can't see who's there, and I don't know how much you're understanding or not understanding these incredible topics. So I'm just delivering what I've appreciated from Jaiva Dharma, but it makes it more enlivening if some questions are coming or if some interaction is coming, because ultimately our path is about relationship. I don't like speaking to the sky, just talking tattva to nobody. I like to talk to people and to see what effect it's having on them when I'm speaking. I'm not an impersonalist. I'm a personalist, and I like to connect with individuals. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put in the chat there or to contact Rasa Manjari or anyone else on our thread and put forward your questions to make the subject matters go deeper and to bring out more aspects of these topics, because they're very dense topics indeed. And I'm just going very quickly through, but I have no idea what you understand or don't understand because you're not asking me any questions. It's like here in the context of the book, Rajanath is directly asking questions all the time to Babaji. So it's because of these questions that Babaji is even speaking. But I'm getting no questions, and yet I'm just reading. So it's a little bit dry in one sense, but it will become more enlivening if there are some, if there's some. It also, it can almost mean that someone is not really listening attentively, because if you're listening attentively, there must always come some sort of question. A devotee should, my Gurudev used to say, the sadhak should always have some question on his mind about some part of the topic. Don't ask me something about something else, just the topic I'm talking about. Just keep it in topic. But I would be appreciative if anyone would ask those questions. Okay, so our time is over. So where we are entering now, understand in the context of our whole Dasamula, we've discussed the Amnaya, the evidence, we've discussed Krishna is the Supreme Personality. Without discussing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can't appreciate his Shakti Tattva. And without appreciating the Shakti Tattva, we can't begin to appreciate the Rasa Tattva, which we're opening out here. It's just opening out a little bit. It's not going to go so much detail into the Rasa Tattva, because that will come in the later chapters.
So over here, when it is saying that Krishna is born yet unborn and speaking about his qualities in a way, so again, this is about Krishna only.
Yes.
It's nothing, it doesn't seem that it's related to Rasa Tattva, or like how this is related.
It's related to Rasa Tattva in the sense that Krishna is so omniscient. He's so inconceivable. When we start to consider his relationship with Radha, it can seem like mundane because we're so familiar with the love between a male and a female in this world. So it seems like really regular kind of a pastime. All right, Krishna's in love with Radha, so what? We've heard about it all before. But what is the nature of Krishna? Who is Krishna? He can move and not move at the same time. It has to put it into that higher frame of transcendence. We have to come into transcendence in appreciating these things. That's why it's been described.
So, but again, it is giving us the duality.
Yes, there is duality in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
We discussed that in the sixth verse of the Falshruti. Yes. Of course there's duality. There's meeting and there's separation. There's day and night. There's continued eightfold pastimes. There is duality.
And even describing his inconceivable qualities, there is also a duality, like born, not born, limited, unlimited.
Yes. This is all duality also. Yes. These are actually subject matters for meditation. Actually, it's when we take our mala in the morning time, we should try to have this text in front of us or take some notes from the listening to the text and then try to remember these. And with the power of the holy name, the sound vibration of the holy name, it'll take us deeper into an appreciation of these topics. And then something wonderful will happen in the consciousness. Then the consciousness will start to really blossom and really move towards transcendence. That means letting go of the rationale and logical aspects of this conditioned world. We've been brought up with that rationale, with that logic. We're trying to purify that and come to a place of appreciating the inconceivable. It needs to be thought about, considered, meditated on. Thank you.
Also, like Rasa and Raghunath means the conjugal pastime between Radha and Krishna.
Yes.
Because it's like the relationship with the Krishna with Vrindavan and all the
Yes.
other associates.
Yes. Mahabhav is that relationship between Krishna and the Brijvasis, and the gopis in particular. Mahabhav is not so much with the other Brijvasis, but it's the relationship with the gopis. But that Mahabhav is between Krishna and those Nitya Siddha Parikars. And we are wanting to serve that relationship. It's not that I'm looking, oh, when are my Anubhavs going to start? When are my Sattvika Bhavs? That's not the point. The point is, can I appreciate the Sattvika Bhavs in Radha and Krishna? And principally in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is giving us a demonstration of that. Mahaprabhu himself is Krishna, with the Bhav and Kanti of Sri Radhika, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmi. He's directly Radha and Krishna combined. So he is showing us these Sattvika Bhavs from the highest perspective. So consider all these things. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Rasa Tattva ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namah, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.